Hello guys, how are you guys today? Okay, today I decided to make a video and in this video I want to share with you guys some super duper fascinating phrasal verbs that I came across. And I myself think that those phrase verbs are really useful and really magical when you use them into daily conversation when it comes to speaking English. But before we get into details about those amazing phrasal verbs, I I want to share a piece of my perspective about how important phrasal verbs are before we get into learning those phrasal verbs. And first of all, we need to understand what are phrasal verbs in English. And a lot of people in our group have no idea what phrasal verbs are. Every time we have group discussion at the lake, and I sometimes incorporate some phrasal verbs into my speaking, and I explain those things are phrasal verbs in English, and people have no idea what they are. It is easily understandable because it is about grammar. Something I'm gonna shortly present right now is about grammar, so that's why it's a little bit complicated, but I hope you guys follow me from the beginning to the end of my talk. And for short, I just want to simplify things. So I want to make it as simple as possible for you guys to understand. So first of all, we need to understand that English phrasal verbs are things consisting of a simple verb combined with the short things which are called preposition. So actually, they are just verb plus preposition. And prepositions in English such as on, up, down, and something similar. And some typical examples of English phrasal verbs I can give you guys is like to fight down. Some examples of phrasal verb we have over here, for example, like to fight down, or to, for example, to put down, for example, like that. And obviously, to put down and to fight down, you can see the meanings of those phrasal verbs are self-explanatory. It is obvious that to put down something, it means that you have to put an object or put something down. It is literal. Or to find down, it means like you discover something, like you find down something. And you don't have to be a genius to figure it down, like to figure the meaning of those words. But if we just take those phrasal verbs in that perspective, so we have nothing to talk about phrasal verbs because most phrasal verbs in English are supposed to be double meaning. They have more than one meaning. And if we just look at their literal meaning, so we have nothing to talk about it. So to put it another way, we need to have a look at their figurative meanings. So it is something I want to talk about. Um, because not on all occasions a phrasal verb has a direct meaning. Um, okay, so over here I have a phrasal verb put down. Okay, so put down is mean if it when we take this phrasal verb at literal meaning, it just mean like put something down. Like I put my book down on the table. It is very easy to understand. And it is literal. It is literal. But let's have a look at this sentence. So I had to put, I'm sorry, I had to put my dog down. So what does it mean in this situation? It means I put my dog down. It means like my dog is like up somewhere and I have to put it down. No, I have to put my dog down in this situation. It means I have to kill it. So I had to kill him. I had to kill my dog. So in this situation, this phrasal verb has been transferred into figurative meaning. It loses its origin, its literal meaning, and it turns into figurative meaning. So phrasal verbs in English are supposed to be understood most of the time in figurative meaning. So that's why it is really crazy. And phrasal verbs sometimes are really, really challenging to remember. Um, but actually, I think if we really take notice of them, I think phrasal verbs are kind of adorable because they are not that bad. They are not that challenging because phrasal verbs are supposed to be very, very common in daily conversation. Um, you probably thinking phrasal verbs like, alright, it sounds useful, but is it really that necessary? Okay. If I haven't paid much attention to them by now, surely I can do without them in the future. Well, I have to tell you that you're not entirely right in saying that. Of course, you can do without them. You still can speak English well without using any phrasal verbs. But I think you miss out a lot of benefits that phrasal verbs bring about. Phrasal verbs can give you that. Uh, and I think if you give up using phrasal verbs, it wouldn't be wise. And you know, right now I want to tell you some crucial some crucial things about phrasal verbs. Why phrasal verbs are actually crucial for any English learners. Um, First of all, we have to become aware that in uh, spoken English is literally packed with phrasal verbs. And as you definitely want to learn efficient English communication, it is important that you learn to speak fluently and easily. So while there's nothing wrong with using formal words like to extinguish or to dismantle, I'm going to give you guys some more examples about this. To extinguish and to dismantle. Do you know the meaning of those verbs? To extinguish. You know, in daily conversation, people rarely say to extinguish the fire. Like in English, we say extinguish a fire, extinguish the fire, and dismantle a machine, for example. But in daily conversation, we rarely say that because those terms are supposed to be technically formal, and those are used most of the time in textbook, in academic situations. In daily conversation, things are much simpler. Instead of using those terms, we can use as phrasal verbs, versions. To extinguish the fire, it means you put out. And to dismantle a machine, it just basically to take it to pieces or take it apart. So in daily conversation, I've heard a lot from the movies, and people just say, "Oh, let's put out the fire." People rarely say, "Let's extinguish the fire," or to see to see specific details in this machine, let's take it apart. People rarely say to dismantle it. So I think phrasal verbs are much more common in informal situations, or in other words, in English communication. And you know, traditionally, English is studied using textbooks that are written using quite formal language. And uh, we can see one of the reasons why foreigners struggle with effective English or authentic English communication. Um, we can easily see that English language that we used to read and write doesn't always follow the same patterns as spoken English. I'm not saying that normal English grammar that doesn't apply when speaking. Nevertheless, phrasal verbs definitely change the language and make it more friendly, easy to understand, and easy flowing. And I want to clear my point. So let's compare two sentences. One informal, I mean in written English, and the other one is informal in spoken English. Let's say like this. Um, this is what it says on your work contract. Just imagine that. Okay, just imagine that you're working in a company, and company's employees are required to inform the management about taking the annual leave at least 60 days in advance. And this is what your new manager tells you on the induction day. You have to hand in a holiday request at least 60 days in advance. I'm gonna write it down for you. For example, hand in you must hand in a holiday request at least um, 60 days in advance. Yeah. And we can see over here, do you see how a formal request is being paraphrased into conversational English using the phrasal verbs to hand in? And we can see it's not only about informal conversations. You see that? And phrasal verbs are being used all across the board, starting from chatting with your friends during a lunch break and even ending with company meetings. Just imagine yourself asking your boss, would you like to break down the first quarter sales figures as well? And the same questions can be asked this way, like would you like to calculate regional sales figures for first quarters as well, right? And to break down and to calculate. And which one is better in daily conversation? I think if you use to break down, like to break down the first break down something, I think it's much better because it sounds more conversational when you speak so. Okay, so those are some points I want to give out to prove that phrasal verbs are really necessary for daily conversation. So right now you have more reasons to use phrasal verbs, to incorporate phrasal verb into your speaking to give ambience or to jazz up the conversation to make it less formal, to be more friendly with people when it comes to speaking English. And right now, let's move to the main stuff that I want to tell you today. Today I want to share with you guys some super duper cool phrasal verbs that we can totally incorporate into our conversation to make our conversation more interesting, more fascinating. And the first phrasal I want to tell you guys is to beef up. To beef up. Can you guess the meaning of this phrasal verb? Beef, you know beef, right? And when beef is a noun, it is something that we can eat. And beef is supposed to be very tough. So to beef up Basically, it just means to increase. This phrasal verb can have many meanings, but in general, they mean something like to increase, or maybe it can mean to improve, to strengthen. Or maybe it can mean like to make something more interesting. So let me see what kind of examples I can give you guys for using this phrasal verb. Okay? Okay, so for example, you and me are working at the same company, and we are coming up with some plans because we want to better uh, the market effort, the marketing effort. So I can say like this. The organization plans to beef up its marketing effort. Okay, so we sit together and we try to figure it out how to come up with some plans to beef up the marketing effort. So to beef up over here, it just like means to beef up over here, it just means something like to better, or um, to improve, like that. Make it better. Some ideas or some plans to make the marketing effort better or improve it. So it is the first one. You also can use beef up when you want to talk about something, you want to strengthen something, like the police have to strengthen the security because recently there have been a lot of robberies happening in the street. You can say that. Beef up something to make something stronger, improve it, increase it, like that. The next expression, the next phrasal verb I want to share with you guys, it is kind of interesting, and it is kind of funny. It is bristle at. And you know, bristle is it is an action of a cat, a dog, or even maybe a cock, I guess. Um, those animals tend to bristle when they happen to meet something which is uncomfortable to them. Like if you scare your kitty, maybe your kitty gets angry and he or she is going to bristle at you. But in daily conversation, and when we use this for human beings, when bristle at means something different. When a person bristles at somebody, it means they show the anger or indignation to that person. Bristle at somebody, it just means like to get angry, to show the anger. Yeah, maybe get angry immediately or get angry. Yeah, like that. Let's give an example for this phrasal verb. Maybe yesterday when I was in my class, I unconsciously talked about Mary's mother and talked about Mary's mother's sickness, and that made Mary very angry with me, and she came to me and she bristled at me. Okay, so this is an example. You know, actually, I just wanna talk to my friends about Mary's mom's illness because I just want to I just wanted to report. I just wanted to tell them about her mom's situation for them to take some pity on her. But unluckily, she got me wrong, so she bristled at me. And she thought I was telling something bad, like I was speaking ill of her mom or something. So poor me, okay? But by the way, it's just an example. It's not serious. And let me see. The next phrasal verb also very fascinating, and I think some of you in the group may know this phrasal verb because I used them once when we had discussion at the lake. It is clam up. Can you guess the meaning? You know clam, right? Clam, maybe there are living things in the sea, and clams are really hard to open. So to clam up, it means to say nothing. When a person clams up, uh, it is like when a clam, it is like when a clam closes its shells. It is really hard to open because once it is supposed to close, it is very hard for us to open it again. So when a person clams up, it means the person says nothing. They close their mouths in the way that a clam closes up, like that. So let's give an example for this phrasal verb. Um, for example, I and my friend Tom, we usually talked about something very funny, something very humorous, something hilarious. And but once I mentioned the stuff that he did when he was a kid, and that stuff was really embarrassing. He started to clam up, and he didn't want to talk about it like that. Okay, so maybe this embarrassing thing. I'm sorry. Maybe this embarrassing thing can be like he peed in his pants when he was in the class, for example. So it was really embarrassing. Just imagine how embarrassed you were when you were in that situation. So of course Tom clammed up because he didn't want me to talk about it. He felt awkward. He felt uncomfortable when somebody mentioned the stuff he did in the past. So clammed up. Okay. And the next one I want to share with you guys, it is a phrasal verb related to a cock, related to the cock. And in the morning, the cock usually crows to call the morning. In Vietnam, we have a lot of literacy talking about the cock calling for the sun in the morning. So the next phrasal verb I want to talk to you guys is crow over. To crow over or crow about something. Um, when a person crows over or crows about something, it just means like that person brags about something. Or in other words, to make you guys easily understand, to brag about something or to crow over or about something, it just means to talk arrogantly about something. For example, I'm a cocky person. In the class, I just want to be the best student. So every time every time I do something amazing in the class, like every time I get the best mark in the class, I keep crowing over or I keep crowing about my good results because I want to tell people that I'm really, really good. I'm a good student in the class. I'm amazing. So when you crow over, it means you talk arrogantly about something. It seems like you're very, very proud of it. It seems like you're the best of the best, like that. You want to prove that you are cool and you want to show it off, like that. So, okay. So I crowed over my results, which made my friends feel annoyed. Okay, over here is my good results. Of course, I couldn't crow over my bad results. Okay, so the next step I want to share with you guys is to fawn over. This phrasal is really interesting. I accidentally came across this phrasal when I watched a TV show. Have you guys ever watched a LEG show? It is from Britain, and this show was really amazing. To fawn over, it just means to flatter someone or attend to someone excessively. Like when you flatter someone, when you flatter somebody, it's like you over, or sometimes it means you overly care. You over care. I'm not sure. It means you show your care for someone excessively. Okay, for example, um, I have a friend and his name is Tom, and uh, Tom is married and he has three daughters. And every time people pay a visit to Tom's house, um, and people tend to fawn over the third daughter of him. Okay, it means that people show their care for the third daughter more than the other twos, and it is ridiculously unfair because three of them are pretty as equal. It's crazy. Like when you fawn over someone or something, it means that you show your care excessively for that person or for that stuff. Or you can say something like, let's give another example. For example, please stop fawning all over the guest. You are embarrassing me. So it means you overly care. You care too much for the guest, and it is really embarrassing, and you need to stop it. Okay? And okay, the last one, maybe the last one. I'm not sure if I have an. Okay, the last one. Let me see. Okay, not the last one, but the next one. Okay, this one is very interesting. I accidentally uh, came across in my mind. It is bounce off. I heard this phrase when I watched a show, Ellen show. Yeah, when I watched Ellen show, I came across this phrase and I think this phrase is really interesting. Bounce off. When you bounce off an idea, it means you try to get across an idea to somebody, or you try an idea or a concept out or someone on a group. So when you bounce off an idea, it means you want to tell somebody your idea to see how people think about it. Okay? You try your idea or your concept on somebody. For example, yesterday I came up with a very interesting idea for maybe for a performance of my class. Maybe my class is going to have a performance, like a fashion performance, and the whole class confidently take part in this. And I accidentally came up with some ideas, and I really wanted to talk to the monitor and to my form teacher to see how my idea worked for the whole class. So I said something like this. So I bounced my idea off the teacher and the monitor to see how they take my idea, to see how they how they assess it, to see if it is workable or not. So when you bounce off something, it means you uh, express your ideas for somebody to understand or to analyze it, to see how it works, how it is, like that. And this number 6, I'm sorry. And the last stuff I want to share with you guys, maybe the number 7. The number 7 I want to share is to wipe out something. Let me give you guys an example first to see how you guys understand this. For example, in today's modern world, the old values has been wiped out. Okay? In today's modern world, the old values have been wiped out. So what does it mean, this situation wiped out? Okay, wipe out is mean completely destroy. Or to eradicate. You know this word, right? Eradicate. To eradicate something is mean like to get rid of. Okay? So wipe out is mean completely destroyed, and the meaning of this phrase is really strong. You can use it in daily conversation. Or you can say the storm wiped out most of the houses in the street. So it wiped out most of the houses. So it completely destroyed most of the houses on the street. You can say that. Hmm. I I know I want to decide this is the last one, but I don't like the number 7. I don't like the number 7. To me, the number 7 is not really lucky to me. And I like the number 8. So maybe I try to come up with another phrasal verb. And I suppose it is the next one. I want to stop at number 8. Okay, let me see. Hmm. Okay, this phrasal verb is really amazing. To maneuver. I don't know how to pronounce this, like maneuver, like that. And to maneuver is just mean to consider. To consider something, to contemplate or to ponder mean the same. They mean the same. I'm sorry. To contemplate is not calm. To contemplate. To maneuver something. You can use it in daily conversation, but I see people prefer using consider to maneuver. But you can use maneuver sometimes to change the way you use the word to make it more, to make the conversation much more fascinating and to give more ambience. We need to be eclectic in terms of using words in English. Uh, for example, I will maneuver your suggestions and reply to you next week, okay? So basically, it just means I'll consider your suggestions and reply to you next week. Maybe we're going to, you recommended to me some suggestions about our camping next week, and those sounded kind of interesting, but I wanted to maneuver them carefully because I just wanted to make sure that they worked for the next camping. So I'm gonna reply to you next week. It just means consider like that. Okay, so I think the video is kind of long. I think I need to stop it. And I hope you guys enjoy some stuff I've shared with you guys today, and I hope you guys don't take it for granted. I hope you guys can apply those terms into your daily speaking to make your speaking more various, to make it more fascinating, and for the most part, to make your speaking sounds more smooth. And that's it. Ta-ta for now.